Art Ninja air balloon cell picture with awesome animation.
What I'm going to use is just a sheet of cardboard, and I'm going to draw a border around it, which is about the width of a ruler. Right, I'm going to cut out the middle bit, so I'm left with a frame.
Be careful with scissors, they can be sharp.
Now you're going to need 2 of these, so I just ninja myself another one. Now grab yourself some cling film and a glue stick and give the frame a generous portion of glue. Looks like enough. Okay, now the tricky bit. Roll it out over your frame. Okay, now because we use loads of glue, it means we can stretch it out across this frame without it suddenly sticking completely. Look at that, nice and taut. Now we want to put another good portion of glue on the other side of the frame. Now sandwich the cling film between the 2 frames, like that. Just stretch it around like this, just to make sure it's nice and tight. And there we are, your first frame, ready for drawing on. Now, this isn't a canvas, this is a cell. It's what animators used to draw on. Now, rather than drawing straight onto it, I've drawn a little image first as a guide so that I don't muck it up and have to make my cell again.
Now, I'm just going to trace the guide onto the cell. I'm using a permanent marker to do this.
Seagulls in Bristol. Great, now I can paint it.
I'm putting yellow paper under the cell so that when I paint it, I can see it more easily.
There we are. What I'm using here is acrylic paint, which is pretty happy to go on anything. The great thing about this, using cells, is that you could layer up a picture. It create a foreground and a background, and if you were animating, it meant you didn't have to redraw everything over and over again. So what I've done here is drawn a lovely foreground. So this is a box made up of 2 of the frames, one at the front and one at the back, and I wrapped a piece of cardboard around 3 of the sides, but left one of them open, because that's where we're going to slide in our other cells. And if we just slide my frame inside, look at that. So, hot air balloon over the lovely rolling hills, but it feels like it's in a bit of a void. It needs some background. And I've painted some white clouds on a blue piece of paper, and I've put sticky tacks on the corner. So, when I stick it to the back, if I ever want to change the weather, I can. And there we are. Look how beautiful that is. Gives it real depth. Now, this piece of art has a trick up its sleeve. So I've drawn some other frames. We can see here how they work, sort of one after the other. So, just gonna grab my tablet. I've got on it some animation software. Right, so my first frame's in place. Just go for a frame. Nice. Swap out my frame to the next one. Brilliant. So on each of these frames, the bird, he's moved just a tiny amount towards the balloon. Oh. Now he's bumped into it. Cool, let's have a little look at it.
The air balloon cell picture. Why don't you try it yourself?